If you've been watching the crypto rankings as closely as I have, you probably noticed that a new coin recently appeared in the top 20 on CoinMarketCap. Klay seems to have come out of nowhere, and this has left many wondering what Klaytn is all about. Given the relative lack of information about this supposedly massive project, I figured I would take it upon myself to do the research and find out. As it so happens, there is much more to Klaytn than meets the eye. So today, I'm going to share what I found and why I think Klay might be a sleeping giant. All right, ladies and gents, you know the drill. If you're here for education and entertainment, you're sure to get your fill. If you're here for financial advice, however, that's something I can't fulfill. This is because I am not a financial advisor, so anything you do with your wallet is your own free will. Now, if this is your first run-in with the Coin Bureau, it's a pleasure to meet you. My name is Guy, and I am the sheriff of this here town. My mission is to bring you the highest quality crypto content on the internet. Crypto news, reviews, market moves, and useful tools are just a few of my fields of speciality. If you're looking to take your crypto chops to the next level, well, subscribe to the channel and ping that notification bell. Your time is valuable, which is why I've left timestamps in the video timeline that you can use to get around. I do suggest you watch this one the whole way through though, because Klaytn seems to be a crypto project unlike any other. Allow me to explain. Klaytn's history begins with a company called Kakao. Kakao is one of the largest publicly traded tech companies in South Korea with a market cap of roughly $40 billion. Now, to say that Kakao is a monopoly would be an understatement. Over 93% of South Korea's population uses the Kakaotalk messaging app, and Kakao Taxi is the most used ride-hailing service in the country. Kakao also launched South Korea's first internet-only bank in 2017. Kakao Bank has been so successful that it's partially to blame for the closure of multiple foreign banks in the country, as well as the physical locations of many domestic South Korean banks. If that wasn't crazy enough, Kakaotalk, Kakao Taxi, and Kakao Bank are just 3 of the 24 or so services that Kakao provides. Like many tech giants, Kakao was inspired by the cryptocurrency bull run in 2017 to 2018 to create its own cryptocurrency. Also, like many tech giants, Kakao faced significant resistors from regulators in South Korea, who rightfully pointed out that a Kakao cryptocurrency could be a threat to the Korean won. Whereas corporate crypto projects like Facebook's Libra, aka Diem, were reined in by regulators in the US, Kakao managed to work around these restrictions using subsidiary companies in foreign countries. How it did this was quite clever, and here's roughly how it went down. In 2017, Kakao partnered with a software company called Dunamu and the Bittrex cryptocurrency exchange to launch the Upbit crypto exchange in South Korea. In early 2018, Kakao confirmed the creation of a Japanese subsidiary called GroundX, which would develop Kakao's cryptocurrency project, Klaytn. In late 2018, Dunamu expanded to Singapore and launched the international iteration of the Upbit exchange. 1 month later, GroundX also expanded to Singapore. Shortly after that, Kakao confirmed an ICO for the Klay coin, which hoped to raise $300 million from private investors in Asia. Now, besides regulatory resistance, South Korea's ban on ICOs might leave you wondering how Kakao managed to pull this off. Well, as with all big business shenanigans, the devil is in the detail. For starters, because GroundX was the company hosting the ICO, it was able to do so without regulatory interference from South Korea because it's technically based in Japan. The presence of both Upbit and GroundX in Singapore also meant all the infrastructure was in place to run the Klay ICO with minimal red tape. More importantly, the fact that the ICO was off limits to retail investors meant the coin sale was digestible to regulators in South Korea, Japan, and even the United States. Interestingly enough, Kakao had actually tried to host an ICO for the Klay coin using a Swiss subsidiary in early 2018, but was blocked by South Korea's Financial Services Commission. That's a lot of trouble to go through to launch a cryptocurrency, and this begs 2 questions. What the hell is Klaytn, and why is it so important to Kakao. Klaytn is described by Kakao CEO Yo-Min Su as being like Facebook's Libra, aka Diem, except, quote, more advanced. This is because Klaytn has a broader use case than Diem, which only makes it possible to transfer fiat stablecoins between users around the world. By contrast, Klaytn intends to be the backbone blockchain for South Korean businesses, including Kakao. Unlike most cryptocurrency blockchains, the Klaytn mainnet launched less than a year after the Klay ICO in June 2019. Unlike most enterprise blockchains, Klaytn is actually open source to, quote, repay the blockchain ecosystem. In June last year, the Klaytn blockchain became available on Kakaotalk via the Klip Wallet, which exists within the Kakaotalk app itself. The Klip Wallet stores the Klay coin as well as both fungible and non-fungible tokens on the Klaytn blockchain. Most of the details about this integration are in Korean, but from what I was able to gather, the purpose of the Klip Wallet is to make it possible for businesses to enhance customer experience and outreach on Kakaotalk. This can be done by rewarding Kakaotalk users with fungible or non-fungible tokens when they make in-app purchases or interact with sponsored content. Kakaotalk users can also stake their Klay coins in the Klip Wallet, though this does not seem to contribute to the security of the Klaytn blockchain. Besides the Klip Wallet, the Klaytn blockchain hosts over 60 dApps and DeFi protocols such as the KlaySwap AMM DEX, which currently boasts over $300 million in daily trading volume. Klaytn dApps can be accessed using the KCAS web wallet browser extension, which currently has around 30,000 downloads between Chrome and Firefox. KCAS is also used to access the Klay Station, which is a dashboard that also lets you stake Klay coins to earn a modest 4.7% APY. While it's not entirely clear what Kakao plans to use Klaytn for in the long term, the volatility of the Klay coin means it's unlikely to be a form of payment like Facebook's Diem. More importantly, the future of Klaytn is actually not up to Kakao, but the Klaytn Governance Council. Now, the Klaytn Governance Council consists of over 30 crypto and non-crypto companies, including LG Electronics, Binance, Huobi, and even MakerDAO. The Klaytn Governance Council is tasked with approving or rejecting any proposed changes to the Klaytn blockchain, which can technically be tabled by anyone. However, whether an approved proposal actually gets implemented is solely up to the discretion of the Governance Council's chairman. Klaytn's documentation also suggests that this sole chairman has unlimited emergency powers, such as freezing user accounts or even stopping the entire Klaytn blockchain under certain circumstances. This should give you some idea of what the Klaytn blockchain looks like under the hood. Like many enterprise blockchains, Klaytn is basically a carbon copy of Ethereum with a few minor differences. For starters, it uses a permissioned proof-of-stake consensus mechanism, which supports a limited number of validators. As a result of this relative centralization, Klaytn has a 1-second block time and can process around 4,000 transactions per second. However, because Klaytn apparently uses an unaltered clone of the Ethereum virtual machine for its smart contracts, this 4,000 TPS speed is likely limited to regular transactions. While I wasn't able to find a figure for Klaytn's smart contract TPS, if Hedera Hashgraph's implementation of the EVM is anything to go by, this could be as low as 12 TPS. Moreover, fees on the Klaytn blockchain are, quote, almost 1/10 of Ethereum, which is still quite a bit when you consider the cost of gas on Ethereum as of late. Luckily for Klaytn users, transaction fees can actually be delegated to other participants on the blockchain. This makes it possible for businesses to bundle any transaction fees into the cost of the product or service being purchased using the Klaytn blockchain. To further facilitate enterprise adoption, the Klaytn blockchain has an elaborate architecture that supports the addition of customizable blockchains. Klaytn's validator nodes, called core cell operators, form the core cell network, or CCN, which processes transactions on the Klaytn blockchain. These validator nodes are run by the members of the Klaytn Governance Council, and each council member must stake a minimum of 5 million Klay coins to become a core cell operator. In return, they earn 34% of each block reward. While validator stakes cannot be slashed, Klaytn's documentation repeatedly states that there are, quote, penalties for misbehavior. The transactions that the CCN processes come from endpoint network nodes, or ENNs, which do not need to stake any Klay coins. I suspect this is because ENNs fall under the umbrella of something called proof of contribution. Under proof of contribution, 54% of every block reward is distributed to participants on the Klaytn network that make, quote, meaningful contributions. This includes service providers who run auxiliary blockchains called service chains. Service chains are the customizable blockchains I referred to a few moments ago, and they let enterprises tweak things like privacy and transaction fees. These service chains are analogous to Layer 2 scaling solutions on Ethereum, except they rely on the Klaytn blockchain for security and use endpoint network nodes to communicate with the Klaytn chain. Service chains are also much more centralized than Ethereum Layer 2s. The primary purpose of service chains is to host blockchain applications, or BApps, belonging to Klaytn's 70 or so service partners. This happens to coincide with the 60 or so dApps on the Klaytn blockchain, according to dApp.com. According to Klaytn, BApps are superior to dApps because, quote, lots of dApp projects have lost the trust of blockchain's possibility by offering the decentralization model that is irrelevant to the reality of the markets or the needs of the users. Now, under the proof of contribution model, users interacting with BApps on the Klaytn blockchain or its service chains will also earn a share of that 54% block reward. If you're wondering where the remaining 12% of block rewards go, the answer is the Klaytn Improvement Reserve, which is used to fund any approved changes to the Klaytn blockchain. Now, I know that was a lot to take in, so take a breather if you need it, because KLAY's tokenomics are just as complex. The Klay coin had an initial supply of 10 billion and has an inflation rate of 300 million Klay per year to pay for all those block rewards. As I mentioned earlier, the Klay ICO, which took place in late 2018, sought to raise $300 million. However, Bloomberg reported in March 2019 that the 2018 ICO had only brought in about $90 million, and that GroundX was consequently looking to host a second ICO for the Klay coin. Now, unfortunately, I wasn't able to find a figure for that second sale, which seems to have happened in March and April of 2019, according to CryptoRank. If my maths is correct, this second sale raised an additional $48 million. This maths is based on the fact that the price per Klay coin was 3 cents in the 2018 ICO round, and it was 8 cents per Klay in the 2019 ICO round. Both sales were restricted to private investors, which collectively purchased 36% of Klay's initial supply. One thing I should point out is that a presentation by GroundX in January 2020 seems to suggest that there were just 26 investors in total. Now, I unfortunately couldn't check for on-chain evidence of this because Klaytn's Blockchain Explorer doesn't let you see wallet balances. Anyways, the rest of Klay's initial supply was allocated to GroundX for various purposes such as business development and R&D. Another crypto YouTuber noted that these Klay coins are subject to a vesting schedule, but I was once again unable to confirm this. Now, if you're wondering why Klay suddenly popped into the top 20 of CoinMarketCap, this is likely because CoinMarketCap wasn't able to fetch data about Klay's total supply, so it wasn't able to rank it properly. I suspect they got this figure from the KlayStation dashboard, which seems to be the only place where Klay's total supply is being tracked. CoinMarketCap's reporting of Klay's circulating supply also supports the notion of a vesting schedule, which is actually not good when you combine it with Klay's inflation schedule. This thirst for supply would require a substantial amount of demand to quench, and this demand seems to be lacking. While Klay has a 24-hour trading volume of nearly 400 million at the time of shooting, most of this trading volume is happening on the KlaySwap DEX, which is a bit concerning. This is because Dapp.com reveals that the KlaySwap DEX has seen fewer than 9,000 users over the last 90 days and has apparently seen no users in the last 12 hours or so. Most of Klay's off-DEX trading volume is taking place on Coin One, which makes sense considering how crazy South Koreans are for crypto. Case in point, even Kakao's share price has gone through the roof in recent weeks, supposedly because of its stake in the Upbit exchange via Dunamu. Unfortunately, the same can't be said for the Klay coin, which seems to be on the verge of breaking below the trend line of its parabolic rally that began in mid-February, yielding a modest 5x move. This wouldn't be such a big deal were it not for the fact that almost every other altcoin has seen more significant gains. To be completely honest, I don't see very much upside potential for Klay. Besides the constant introduction of new coins on the market, Klaytn has pitted itself against the likes of Ethereum, Cardano, and Polkadot, with the latter two making serious headway in Asia. Even on Klaytn's home turf, other crypto projects seem to be dominating the market. Terra comes to mind here, and its Mirror protocol and recently released Anchor protocol provide serious utility to users both inside and outside South Korea. If you want to learn more about Terra, Mirror, and Anchor, be sure to watch my video about them by using that link in the top right. Tokenomics aren't the only reason why I'm bearish on the Klay coin either. Klaytn has given minimal attention to adoption, partnerships, and even basic communication. Take Klaytn's Twitter account, for example. Not a single tweet was made between November 2020 and March 30th, 2021. Not even a retweet. The Klaytn subreddit also has fewer than 400 members, and both of Klaytn's Telegram channels have fewer than 5,000 combined subscribers. Both of Klaytn's Telegram channels are in Korean, which is where most of Klaytn's self-proclaimed 11.8 million users are located. The Klaytn Improvement Reserve Forum, used to table proposals, which was introduced last fall, has also seen next to no engagement, despite being in both English and Korean. The only exciting announcement I've seen from Klaytn is its recent partnership with the OpenSea NFT marketplace, which will be supporting Klaytn NFTs. Now that's all well and good, but there are only 2 NFTs on the Klaytn blockchain, according to the Klaytn Scope Blockchain Explorer. Going through Klaytn's previous partnership announcements, the only thing that really caught my eye was their partnership with Chainlink in May last year, and the fact that Samsung's Galaxy Note 10 was marketed as the Klaytn phone in Korea in 2019. There has also been very little news about Klaytn in the crypto media, and most of its mentions are only in relation to Kakao and the Upbit exchange. In terms of Klaytn's communication, I can't remember the last time I've come across such disorganized documentation for a crypto project. Finding things like Klaytn's Blockchain Explorer, the staking dashboard, and even its developer documentation was surprisingly hard. What's more is that a lot of the information in Klaytn's developer docs is outdated or inconsistent with Klaytn's other resources, and this is despite the fact that the docs were recently updated. To top it all off, Klaytn does not seem to have a concrete roadmap beyond 2021, wherein, quote, Klaytn will rise to the mainstream with performance, security, and productivity on par with the traditional internet. This is incredibly vague, and there is no explanation of how this will be accomplished, nor the milestones involved in doing so. The only bullish thing I can think of for the Klay coin is that it has yet to list on Binance and Huobi, which could happen given that they are part of Klaytn's Governance Council. Even then, I think both Binance and Huobi are more focused on other projects that have real trading volume, more promising fundamentals, and a greater appeal to the cryptocurrency community. And on that note, I should probably follow their lead. Criticisms aside, Klaytn evidently has the edge compared to most crypto projects. As the de facto DM of South Korea, the Klay coin could very easily become a commonly used cryptocurrency in that country. Kakao has clearly put a lot of effort into Klaytn, and this is reflected in its complex architecture. The Klaytn blockchain was designed for enterprise adoption, and it seems to be well suited to that purpose. The thing that gets me is that other Bank of Coin blockchains at least pretend to be allied with the cryptocurrency space. The impression I got from going through Klaytn's documentation is that they are outright hostile towards cryptocurrency and decentralization in general. As many prolific crypto developers have pointed out, the level of centralization you see with things like Klaytn's, quote, killer BAPs, makes them no different to the centralized applications we have now. I think that many institutions know this, and Klaytn's recent lean into DeFi and NFTs suggests that they know that institutions in South Korea are catching on too. I've heard many times that South Korea is insanely competitive when it comes to crypto, and in the absence of institutional support, the only way you can keep up is with the wind of the crypto community in your sails. Kakao has tried to create its own sort of crypto community using the Klip Wallet on the Kakaotalk app, but I think that even the average Kakaotalk app user knows that there are other cryptocurrencies with much more potential than Klay at this point in time. Don't get me wrong, I still think Klaytn could make a comeback, but it's going to require a radical shift in strategy that I don't see happening anytime soon. Klay case closed for now. Okay folks, if you found this video informative, it would be fabulous if you dropped me a like. If you want to make sure you get your fill when the next one comes around, remember to subscribe to the channel and ping that notification bell. You might find this surprising, but I do much more than make videos. On Twitter, I tackle the top trends in crypto. On Instagram, I do AMAs and share dank memes, and on TikTok, Macy follows me around while I play about at the studio. I also do daily updates about the crypto market on the Coin Bureau Insider Telegram channel, and share the secret knowledge you need to succeed in crypto in my weekly newsletter. I also moonlight as a merch merchant with my Coin Bureau merch store. Every item you purchase goes towards making more crypto content and viewers content. You can find these fine features by fiddling with the links in the video description. That's all for now, folks. Arrivederci, auf Wiedersehen, toodaloo.